failing, I'm required to read a long text while playing music written above the text. The text must be read out loud at a more or less normal pace, and I must not allow the music to slow me down. The task is fairly easy for one, because there's not much music. And most of it comes at the ends of clauses and sentences, almost like normal punctuation. Later on, there's more music and the task becomes more difficult. So difficult, in fact, that I will probably not be able to do it without either slowing down my reading speed or else making mistakes in the music. At least the composer feels confident that I will eventually begin to run into trouble, which is why he called the piece failing. So far, the task is still not that difficult, but the challenge is as the piece becomes more difficult, I must continue reading the text at a normal pace and playing the music as well as possible, just as I did at the beginning. By now I am already rather busy just playing the notes and reading the text. But the text says that I should also try to listen to what I'm doing as much as possible and speak loud enough to keep a good balance between the speaking and the playing. Ideally, the speaking and the music should flow easily and naturally so that the audience can easily follow either element at any time. Sometimes the music has a strong progressive quality and I have to speak quite loudly to be heard. At other times, the music is lyrical, almost sentimental, and I will speak more softly, so that the speaking will not cover up the music, but I should make sure that the text is always easy to understand. Now, if my voice fluctuates too much which rises and falls of the music, the text may become difficult to understand, and that too would be a form of failing. Makes it clear that the speaking should always be easy for the audience to understand, regardless of what happens musically. By now this task is already rather challenging. But I have practiced this piece quite a bit. And that's a fact. As well as lined in the text. So unless I'm having a particularly bad day, I can still handle the music quite adequately, without slowing down with the delivery of the text. The dynamic markings accurately. If I'm concentrating well, I should even be able to maintain a good balance between the speaking and the playing. And remember to make the text easy to understand, even though the mood of the music sometimes changes radically. But soon, the music becomes more difficult yet. And I will probably start failing in one way or another. I should point out, however, that I'm not obliged to fail. After all, you cannot see the score I am reading. No one would be the wiser if I were simply to leave out whatever passages I am unable to play. You might be very impressed by my playing ability. I think that I have succeeded in playing a piece which the composer thought cannot be played successfully by any bass player, but of course, filling up the hardest parts like that, I would be cheating. And the performance really would not be a success at all since the piece is about failing. By now, failing is extremely difficult. That is, the piece called failing is extremely difficult. Now, there are a few relaxed moments now and then, but most of the time, I'm required to play a tricky chromatic melody at a fast speed, and by now I'm probably beginning to fail in one way or another. But of course, I don't particularly enjoy failing, and sometimes I think it would be better if I just cheated a little, so I wouldn't fail too badly. That people will be more impressed by my playing ability. But on the other hand, if I do my best and play most of the music well, it should be clear that I'm doing the task as well as anyone can expect me to do it. Moreover, I will be interpreting the piece accurately. Since it is obvious that failing is about failing, if I succeed in playing everything accurately without slowing down my speed or cheating or anything, I will fail to fail, so miss the point. In a way, I almost want to. Because everybody fails at certain times and in certain ways anyway, and because that is what this piece is about. And I want to interpret it appropriately. But of course, I must not try to. I must try to succeed in doing the task well, without slowing down, and without missing notes, even though by now it is almost impossible to succeed for very long. Now, if I tried to fail, and then failed, that would be a kind of success, and not a failure at all. So I must try to succeed. That way when I fail to succeed, I will succeed in communicating the essence of the piece, even though I will fail to accomplish the task as it is set up. In other words, I will not and I won't succeed in interpreting the C sensitively unless my performance turns out to be a failure. Or, wording it another way, I will probably succeed in failing to succeed. Not only because music is so difficult, but also because if I fail to succeed and failing to succeed, I will fail to fail and will miss the point, since failing is obviously about failing. And since any successful performance must be a qualified failure in any case, I'm continuing to read the text and play the music as well as possible, attempting to maintain a normal pace and make the text comprehensible. And I am probably continuing to fail, but I should not be failing quite as often now as I was before, because the music is returning to some of the more lyrical material. Even that material is difficult to play as expressively as I would like under these circumstances. But at least, there's not much danger that I will miss notes. And if I concentrate, I can also maintain a good balance between the speaking and the playing. Soon, however, I will be faced with a fresh difficulty. The text is about to run out. If the music continues for another minute or so. Now, during that time, I must decide for myself what to talk about as I play. My remarks are to be genuinely improvised and should include specific references to this particular performance and to the degree to which I have been failing or failing to fail or failing to succeed to fail. Whatever. As before, I must continue to speak at a normal pace and in a normal tone of voice, and maintain a good balance between the speaking and the playing. As an additional challenge, I'm supposed to make the written part of the text or the improvised part so smoothly that no one will be able to tell exactly when the improvised speaking began. And so soon I will be forced to improvise, and that may or may not be a good thing. But I'm not worried, because I've been practicing improvisation for years now. Both here at UNLV and CSF. And I've learned something. When improvising, it's not all about technique or notes for that matter. You gotta put yourself into the performance. And so I've been thinking about what makes me, me. And the truth is, I love my mom. I mean, well, you know, and I love music as well. But I think most importantly, I love a good joke. Some of you know this, sorry. So I was reading the paper the other day, and they ran out of shampoo in Jamaica. There's a shampoo shortage. It's terrible. Some say it's dreadful. So thank you everyone for watching me fail. I've got to say this, if you're here, which you are here, otherwise you wouldn't be here. But if you're here, you've had some kind of impact in my life, and you've helped me grow both as a person and as a musician, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to be here today. I've got, I think, a good program. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and blisters into this recital, and I'm accompanied by some really good friends and musicians, and I couldn't be more grateful. So, speaking of good musicians, I'd like to invite my buddy, Carlos Mata Alvarez, on to the stage. All right, so this next piece, I won't go too into detail, but when I heard it, I think I was speechless. It's got this really simple melody, actually, accompanied by these big, huge arpeggios, and I couldn't help but think of my mom. Now, she raised us by herself, and I know it was hard on her. And somehow she managed to make it look so easy. She'd get home from work late at night, and she'd have a joke or a smile, and it would be all right. So, I'd like to dedicate this piece and this performance of it. Mama, this one's for you. the recital. So, just some closing remarks. Thank you again for being here, every one of you. And I've got a long list of people I got to thank. So, first off, I got to thank these guys for giving me time. Couldn't pick a better group to make music with. And so I've got to thank everyone here at UNLV. Dave Loeb, Nathan Kanoy, Willie Geisendorfer, Steve Flora, who I've been studying bass with for a year now. Everyone, and I recognize some faces from CSN, so all my teachers from over there, that's when I first started picking up music. I got to thank Dr. D and Dr. Randy, Jason, everyone for helping me put this together. Let me play a piece, Lunar Lace. I know it's, you put a lot of faith in me by doing that. Thank you. Let's see. My family. I've got family that came from out of town, and my mom's here, my brothers and sisters, my grandma. Thank you all for coming out, all my friends, and all my bass teachers. I've had a crazy education as far as bass is concerned. I've had like 7 teachers for the past year. Just kidding. 2 years, 3 years. Chris Davis, Paul Fyrack, Derek Jones, Rashawn Westmoreland, Tom Warrington, and Steve Flora. So, thank you, everyone, for being here. This means a lot to me. Now, this last piece, I wrote about a year ago, specifically for this recital. I have a friend that passed away from cancer last year, and one of the last visits I made, one of the last times I got to see him, he said, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm doing good, man. I was school and everything." And he said, he just told me how much faith he had in me and how much he believed in me. And and then he passed away a few days later. But that last time I saw him, there was a bit of a silence. And he had undergone chemo, and so he was so weak. And then he lifted up his fist in the air. And he said, "Carlos, always remember, you're the man. You're the man." So it's been a year now, and I still think about that every day. When I'm feeling insecure, I feel like I can't do anything. I hear his voice in the back of my head. You're the man.
I want to look at your performance on that.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Have a good weekend.
You get it all?